Tien Chang is a cutting-edge, highly political Taiwanese artist. His style developed because of the high level of political changes that have occurred during his life. This picture was selected because Tien Chang tries to describe Taiwanese replacement culture. He holds a flower with no roots in his mouth to represent the lack of deep Taiwanese cultural roots. The next collection of images each describes a cultural aspect pertaining to specific time periods or eras. The overlapping features are: the large size of the four figures represents the supremacy and oppression of the individuals represented. The images also describe the figures as authoritative and dictatorial in their rulings. No one was allowed to voice any form of an opinion against what these individuals said. In Chinese physiognomy, an individual's facial features and expression can show their personalities and inner thoughts. The use of the bust is similar to the portraits of ancient emperors. Their imperial robes have been drawn to show what damages they had done to the people they were ruling over. For instance, Zhang Xie Shi imperial robes are drawn to show the White Terror and the 228 incident. Mao Zedong imperial robes are drawn depicting the Cultural Revolution of China, seen on the right, as well as when the Red Guardians shouted their slogan, as seen on the left. The following works display a sense of the replaced culture of Taiwan. The ruling Kuomintang government has viewed Taiwan as a temporary occupation since 1949. Wu describes many immigrants, like a flower with no roots, simply view the situation as a temporary stop on the island instead of a place to settle. Some tenants, for example, used cheap or disposable goods as furniture. The pieces Wounded Funeral, The Love of Human Society, Goodbye America 1 and 2 also use the concepts of replaced culture. Wounded Funeral describes replaced culture by using flowers with no roots and cheap or disposable materials in the artwork. The cheap materials are fake diamonds, sequins, glittered fabric, faux silk, artificial plastic flowers, and colorful lights. These cheap materials suggest personality traits of the Taiwanese, such as taking advantage of small situations, gilded statements, and face-saving behavior. These cheap decorations are also used in Taiwanese traditional funeral services and on the funeral float. In the funeral float, there is some professional person singing or dancing on the float. In Taiwan, we even have funeral strippers dancing for the dead. In a Taiwanese funeral, it is really difficult to tell if the celebration is that of a funeral or that of a wedding. The artist ironically describes the situation by making funny faces in the memorial photos. The next collection of images each describes the artist's views of morality, religion, specifically reincarnation and karma. Wu said, quote, "They were curious about my artwork with Taoism, Buddhism, and Taiwanese folk cultures, especially the belief in karma, life and death, the fear of death, the transmigration of the soul, and finally, the respect and adoration of the celestial." The next collection of images includes influences of the prominent Taiwanese photographer Tien Chang. The history of Chinese photography describes how people in the late 19th and early 20th century China worried that a camera's flash would capture their souls, as well as local social concerns, such as the country's shifting identity. The dead are obsessed with the mortal world. Wu describes this sentimental attachment with recurring themes in his paint photographs, which look at the mysterious, hilarious, weird, and haunting. With the help of digital devices, Wu created a surreal world of offbeat atmosphere illuminated by unnatural hues. In his painting-like images, people ride bicycles and pose as ringmasters in dreamlike sets. They are elaborately dressed in sparkly costumes and clown-like makeup, in the gaudy style popular in both Taiwan and China. Although wounded, blind, or missing limbs, his figures always wear lipsticked smiles. The piece, People in the Same Boat, presents 4 men in flamboyant clothes paddling and beating on drums in a dragon boat. Boat racing is one of the most popular activities during the Dragon Boat Festival in Taiwan. The setting of this story is a tragedy in which 4 men accidentally drowned. But in Wu's creation, they seem happy racing in the dragon boat, as if they were still alive. The piece, Work Side by Side, shows a set of twins who have Down syndrome happily riding a tandem bicycle. The disabled characters give dramatic shock to the viewers. The artist creates tragic characters who are dressed up as circus ringmasters. They create a fake sense of happiness for the environment of the audience. They also create an environment in which it is difficult to tell if the world is real or not. The artist borrowed the belief from local cultures to imply that the Taiwanese have difficulty finding their own identity in political conflicts. Wu said, quote, "The power struggles and various national identities have hurt people's feelings on this island for years." Wu used 2 team sports, dragon boat racing and tandem bicycle riding, to express a hope that the Taiwanese can build a sense of shared destiny. The concept of karma is described in the work. Wu took inspiration from a fable in which 2 brothers fought over a beautiful woman in their previous life. They killed each other by cutting each other's arms and legs off. The story begins towards the end of Japanese colonial period. There are 2 boys, both from different wealthy families. They are sworn brothers. However, they fall in love with the same woman. They gather their friends together in order to fight each other. In the chaos, one of them has his arms cut off and the other has his legs cut off. Karma brought them back as twins with missing limbs in this life so that they cannot hate each other as they did in their previous life. The Down syndrome is also a punishment for what they did in their previous life. The piece Surreal Dream uses the concept of Hun and Po. People living on Taiwan firmly believe that a complete life is composed of Hun and Po. The term Hun means a soul with thought and memory, while Po is the body or human organs. It is also widely thought that each person has 3 souls and 7 bodies. At the moment of death, the souls and bodies are forced apart. Then, after 49 days, reincarnation may begin. In the image, the people who are lit represent Po, while the people who are in shadow represent Hun. The layout shows that one cannot exist without the other, and that both must be present in order to have unity. The next piece we will look at is called Luan, which means beautiful, and approaches the erotic display of primitive human desires through the understanding of the primitive lust of pederastic. The illusions and stories of pederastic relationships, which are homosexual relationships between an older male and an adolescent male, were widely documented in ancient poems and articles. The earliest description of pederasty is believed to have been written in ancient Greece, where the practice was even broadly approved by the society. In China, the earliest record of homosexuality can be found in the book Zashuo. The custom of pederasty started before Qin dynasty and was especially in vogue during the southern and northern dynasties. The popularity of pederasty reached a peak in the Ming dynasty and Qing dynasty. The actor wears a suffocating mask representing the beauty of youth, together with a restraining latex bodysuit. The self-indulgent actor performs in the dim space with highly precise movements. The video was filmed with a high-speed camera, shot at 90 frames per second, but played back in normal rate to create the effect of slow motion. This technique not only captures the scenes, which were too brief for the human eye to see, but also created a tranquil flow of movements. The uninterrupted shot, without editing, provides the reality of shock and the symbolic meaning of eternity, As a result, there is a feeling of lost or elongated or changed time. Densely and neatly constructed by slow motion and silence, the atmosphere at the screening is like a constant stare, which makes the audience unable to breathe. The precisely chosen material reflecting distortion induces unique membrane pleasure and aesthetic joy similar to fetish. Humans' primitive and concealed lust is hence thoroughly expressed. The artist made cunning use of dialectical aesthetics by alternating optical magic and prop tricks to create the dynamic effect of curious and thrilling style. Through his works, Tien Chang, now 57, has changed his form of art from oil paintings to a combination of portrait photography and processing using computer graphic software. His subjects have also shifted approximately every 10 years, from political figures to women, and then to elaborately costumed figures who are wounded, blind, or missing limbs. He wants to change his style in every decade. In our interview, he said that he is going to adopt the progress of technology in order to make his artwork fit into the technical tendency of the recent era.